So, France-Marie, tell me, when did you discover your passion for painting?
I've been painting all my life, except I didn't believe in myself.
Oh, really?
I started actually, I think it started about 12 or 13 years ago. I just decided to take myself seriously, and I approached a well-known artist here in Ottawa and internationally. His name is Pater, and I was never so nervous that morning. I was so nervous because it's your soul there in your work. It's your soul that you put in there. And she looked at one painting, one drawing I'd done, and she really liked it. So it was like about 16 by 20. It was not a very big sheet. And she says, you're going to go buy a very large canvas, and you're going to start doing a painting from that. Large canvas are fascinating because, as a person, I don't like limits. And I don't like rules and regulations, although I had to live with them. So a larger space gives me more places to expand. It's more challenging. I like the freedom of reinventing things rather than replicating them. I find it's much more difficult because I used to do portraits, and everybody says, "Oh, you're so good in portraits. Why don't you?" Portraits sell. I felt, it is more determined for me. I prefer the freedom and the fear of reinventing from scratch. It's fearful.
Yeah. How so?
Well, it has to. When people say, "Well, a child could do that," no, because it has to have a structure. It has to be meaningful. It has to have depth, and good interrelationship between colors. It has to be appealing, and you're starting from zero.
So what does the fear do to you as a painter?
Well, what who was it, the famous actress that said, if you're afraid to do something, you have to do it, right? You have to go ahead. It's challenging. I like challenge. And you get rid of your fear, but the fear of, you're a writer, you have the fear of the white page, the fear of the white canvas. And my mentor told me, just throw paint on it, any paint. And when that happens, it really works.
Is that right?
Anyway, you just put something on it.
So is that what you do when you're blocked?
Yeah. Or sometimes I just turn the canvas against the wall and forget about it for a couple of months.
Yeah. So in that case is painting an intellectual act for you or an emotional act?
Listen, it's emotional. Yeah.
Really?
Each time I try to be intellectual, it's a catastrophe.
But what about the structure?
I mean, in painting.
But what about the structure and so on that you mentioned earlier? Isn't that
reproducing something realistic?
Well,
is that
you
what
said
mean?
earlier that even with abstract painting, there still has to be a structure and interrelationship.
Yeah. Well, it still has to be meaningful. It has to hold together. And I'm not sure I know how to explain it. But sometimes you do, and people say, well, you can hang it anywhere you want. No. There is a strong side. And sometimes you're working horizontally, and something is bugging you, what is it? And you could turn it, and wow, this is it. Now it falls together. It has sense, it has meaning.
Which you couldn't do with a landscape, obviously.
Well, if it were me, I would turn the landscape upside down.
What about the relationship between color and shape in your painting? What is the relationship?
Does there have to be one?
No, I'm not a painter.
Good. I don't. That's an intellectual concept. If I start worrying about the shape and the color and all this, I'm going to be, on the same canvas for 20 years. So you just let it surprise you. The brush surprises you. The brush will do a stroke and say, gee, that looks good. And you know it. Sometimes you do a stroke and yuck. That was the wrong stroke. And sometimes you have one shape and it's the wrong shape. So you cut it in two and you change it. If you look here, I put a lot of information on the canvas. And so this is mortar and sandy structure and what is called coarse pumice. It sounds an awful word, and the beads. So I put all this information on the canvas, and when you put paint, it catches what it wants. you know, and it makes it very interesting. So,
Really?
so the canvas makes the shapes.
To what extent does an abstract painting have to have meaning?
It doesn't have meaning; it has to have emotion. I think it has. Yeah, it's not the meaning that's going to hit you; it's the emotion, and I think that's. Sometimes I don't like to put titles, and there's a lot of artists, abstract artists, don't like to put. Not all. I'm not generalizing, but we'll have just on title, on title, on title,
Yeah.
because you let the viewer title it. And it's amazing. I like people who come here, and maybe they're not artists or anything, and I love to hear their comments because they see things that I don't see.
Mm-hmm.
But it's great because that's their vision. I don't want to control their vision. And if somebody comes and wants to intellectualize it, might have more problems.
What about people that say they don't understand abstract art? What do you say?
Well, because they want to understand. They want to be logical, statistical, numerical. They want to be able to, you know, and there's different personalities.
So
Different personalities.
how could
But
they?
instead of understanding it, just live with it. You know,
So if
see
they
what it does to you. What does it do to you? What does it challenge you? Does it repulse you? Because that could be good art that repulses you too.
Mhm. So if somebody said to you, "I don't understand abstract art, and I don't think I really like it, but I would like to have an understanding or an
Yeah,
appreciation of it."
yeah.
What should that person do to approach
I would
abstract
say
art?
expose yourself more and more. I didn't know. That's how I learned. You just view it, expose yourself to it. You know, listen, read about it, and you might just build a culture for it, a habit.
Yeah. Do you think people are fearful of abstract art?
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, I had this really good cutout that I got out of Psychology magazine, and it is fear. Yeah, fear of making a mistake, fear of misinterpreting, fear of looking foolish by maybe liking the piece, and a lot of people, it's the kind of fear. Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
What does that tell us then about how most of us deal with the world if we're fearful of abstract
Yeah,
art?
it's a good point. It's a good point. If people were closer to their emotion and their creativity, they would be closer to each other, more open to change, more open to differences. I think art could save the world.